So quick question for you, talking about brands. How many of you have flown Emirates Airlines? Okay, less than 5% of you. This is a brand challenge a brand like Emirates has been trying to solve. How do you raise the awareness of Emirates as an airline, particularly targeting business and first-class travelers flying from North America towards Europe or towards Asia? And the challenge also is twofold. One, you're up against very established customers, other brands with a long history like British Airways, Lufthansa, United, and you have to get your audience to fly through a region of the world that people may not even be comfortable or never having visited. So they have been doing a series of campaigns on digital to raise awareness and affinity towards the Emirates brand. And when they first started this effort, they used what marketers would traditionally do. Take everything we've learned from traditional media, TV, etc., and bring it onto digital. So they did that method by using celebrity endorsements. So in their early attempts, they used Jennifer Aniston. And here's a piece of creative with Jennifer Aniston talking about the amazingness of business and first-class travel on Emirates. And you'll see they take a fun jab at other large American airlines, and you'll recognize from the uniform. So let's watch that creative.
The luggage was gone for like a week.
The kid just like...
I know, yeah.
Hi, I'm looking for the shower.
There are no showers here, ma'am.
Well, I'm gonna look pretty silly dressed like this going to the bar.
There's no bar here, but we do have hot towels and a bag of peanuts.
Emirates planes have showers and they have bars.
This isn't an Emirates plane, ma'am.
No.
There's no shower?
Oh,
And there's no bar?
yeah.
Why are you laughing like that?
You're killing me.
It was such a nightmare. I was on a plane and it was nothing like this.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you so much. Hey, is there someone that we could talk to about maybe flying this around a little bit longer? Just like an hour.
So this campaign cost them about $5 million. If you look at the view count, Joyce, can you bring the view count? About 6 million views or so right here. View count is not the metric you want to work with, but just using it as a proxy, right? $5 million, about 6 million views. Around this time, a young staffer on the Emirates marketing team said, wait, things work a little different on digital. There are these influencers on platforms like YouTube that if we co-opt and partner with, we could actually have a completely different impact on our brand's presence. So he found out that Casey Neistat, and if you don't know him, he's a big influencer on YouTube. He's a video blogger. He blogs his life as he sees it. So he was flying on Emirates, so they gave him a free first-class upgrade to Casey Neistat and let Casey Neistat blog about his experience. So Casey Neistat released 2 videos after his flight experience, and it's a pretty long video, so I'll play about a minute or so of Casey Neistat talking about his Emirates experience. Let's watch a few seconds of that, Joyce.
This is going to be so awesome.
You close the door to get the water, and you adjust the temperature. Once you find you press that button, the water will come. You press again, it will stop.
Perfect. This is it. The real deal. The dream. Showering on an airplane. I've got 30 minutes in here. I can do whatever I want. I got 5 minutes of running water in the shower. That gives me 25 other minutes to fill. That's a real orchid.
Okay, Casey's taking his clothes off. I think we should stop at that. This is about 9 minutes long, as you can see at the bottom. Look at the view count it got, 52 million views. And he did another one, almost 53 million. He did a second one, 14 million views, 67 million views at the price of a first-class upgrade, right? A very different approach to how he talks about the brand in his own unique signature video blogging style. The point I wanted to make is, as marketers, we've understood traditional marketing and traditional media. Things work very differently on digital, not because of the medium, because of how consumers engage with content on digital. And this is upending and changing all of the assumptions we've had about building a brand in the digital age. And this is what I want to talk about in the next 20 minutes or so. So while the building blocks can often sound very complicated, we talk about data and programmatic and machine learning, etc. Fundamentally, it breaks down into four simple steps, 4 steps. So those 4-step framework in my mind for building your brand on digital looks like this. At the core of it, you always go back to who your consumer is, who your customer is. No matter how much technology enters your life, ultimately brand building is for you and your brand to find an emotional engagement with the consumer as a human being. Okay? That is never going to change. But the methods might be a little different now. So once you understand who your target consumers, step 1, really understanding the customer. There's nothing new I'm telling you here. All of you as seasoned marketers know that. But what has changed is, thanks to digital, our understanding of the consumer has changed very dramatically. The extent to which data comes back from the consumer, because their digital behavior signals a lot of things. And one of the most important platforms that allows us to do that is this device. Because there are unique things our consumers are doing on this platform as they go about their lives that signal to us a lot of things about them that we just did not have an understanding of. And I'll give you an example in a few minutes. So deeper understanding of the consumer thanks to digital. Step 2, connecting with them in that precise window, in that period of their life when they care about your brand. And during those windows, the consumer will engage with you. Other times, they don't want to talk to you. So this might be when they're upgrading their home, when they are taking a job in a new city, or when they're getting a pet, maybe when they're buying a new car. Whatever it is, there are these tiny signals that the consumer sends to brands saying, I am now happy to connect with you because your message, your service is important to me. But even if you understand and connect with the consumer at the right moment, the challenge becomes, how do you get the consumer's attention? Because there is so much content coming towards the consumer, they know that the power has shifted to the consumer. It is accompanied by choice. And I call it the power of the swipe. So along with your brand's message, when the content arrives here, you're now competing with every other brand out there for the consumer's attention. It could be Nike, Starbucks, or BMW, and the consumer looks at it, gives it 2 or 3 seconds of attention in the beginning, and makes a quick decision, is it worth my time or not? And if they decide it's not worth their time, they swipe that brand away. And they're swiping away brands to oblivion unless you can emotionally engage. And what brands have figured out by trial and error is to engage the consumer, use one of these methods, which is entertain them, or give them some education, teach them something, or provide them a utility, be useful in their life. And in the very best cases, what we are seeing is get the consumer to participate in your marketing process because it's a two-way interactive platform. And I'll break this down by actually showing you examples of how brands are doing it. All of this comes to life, only makes sense if you can measure. Because one of the challenges of building a brand is, are you getting the business results? So before you go down this path, ask yourself, how will you know if I am successful with my brand building? What is the metric I most deeply care about? And whatever I try, will I be able to measure and tie it back to the business results I care deeply about? And that brings the model full circle. So rather than talk about a theoretical framework, what Joyce and I will do in the next 15 minutes or so is to walk you through a set of actual case studies of brands going through this model. So I've got bad news for you at this point. I don't have a single PowerPoint slide. Is that okay? Okay, we'll just do live case studies. We are going to go all over the web and look at each one of these steps. Let's talk about understanding the consumer. And the example that we want to bring to you is what Vodafone did in the Ireland market. So Vodafone is a product targeting young consumers 18 to 24 age group called Vodafone X in the Ireland market and probably other parts of the world as well. And the tagline is more fuel for more fun. That you use Vodafone X, it's a phenomenal mobile and data package that adds zest to your life. So as step one, to really understand the consumer, they started looking at, based on data signals, what kind of passion points does that demographic, does that age group care most deeply about in Ireland? And the answers they got back was topics like gaming, sports, especially soccer, music, food. They also noticed something else interesting. These interests are not constant for the same person. It can change depending on the season. So for a certain few months in summer, soccer may peak. At other times, they may shift their interest to entertainment. And they wanted to have unique individual conversation with each person. So for example, if Joel is interested in watching, let's say carpool karaoke, and James Corden is a person of interest, Joel will get a message like this that shows, never miss a moment. And if Charmaine here is interested in music, and let's say she wants to watch Drake, the message she gets is, can't do without Drake. And Andrea here, let's say, is interested in soccer, and she's interested in Champions League, the message that is targeted towards Andrea will say, so the creative changes depending on who you are and what your interest is. How does this happen? They're using a tool that we have called Director Mix that targets the creative, changes the creative based on your interest and passion point. And you can tell the tool what are the passion points that should be targeted, and the creative is automatically adjusted. So you can do it for 100 or thousands of different interests. Every person feels that you are having a very unique conversation. The second step, going back again to the model, so now that you understood the customer and are able to have a precise conversation, how do you connect with them in the moment when they are most ready to have a conversation with you? So from telecom, Vodafone, let me shift to the car buying market and show you an example that took place right here in Canada. Audi. Audi has a convertible called the Cabriolet. How many of you drive the Cabriolet? Okay. Nobody? The weather is too cold? One person. Okay, the Audi Cabriolet. So first of all, Audi said, if we are marketing the Cabriolet, it makes sense to target it towards people who are in the market to buy a car. Logical, right? Again, thanks to digital signal and with a tool that we have where you can target people who are in market, Audi only comes and talks to you if they get some sort of a signal that you are in the market to buy a car. But here's the other challenge that Audi has if you're trying to sell a Cabriolet. Consumers will only come into the dealership and take the Cabriolet for a test drive when the weather looks like this, sunny, bright. If it is raining, if it's snowing, nobody comes to take a Cabriolet out. So therefore, it makes sense to have a conversation with you only when the weather is great. How do you do it? And this is where a device like this comes very, very handy. So let's say Derek here is holding this device. If I know where Derek is located geographically because of the device, I know what the weather is like. I can match it against the data. And if it is sunny, I can have one conversation. If it is wet and rainy, I have a completely different conversation. So this is what Audi did. Find consumers who are in the market to buy a car, and then go have a conversation based on the mobile device location, only when the weather is cold, wet, and rainy. And the teaser is, I know you're feeling miserable, but on the next great sunny day in your region, how would you like to take the Cabriolet for a test drive? And that is a very compelling moment to connect with the consumer. And here's how the creative worked. I'll pause it and explain it to you.
Nobody wants to drive a cabriolet in the rain. So when Audi launched the new A3 Cabriolet this spring, we created a smart mobile ad to let people enjoy a test drive in the sunshine. Using live weather data and geolocation, the ad recommended the perfect day to take a test drive.
Okay. So as you can see, within the ad unit itself, there is interactivity built in. The calendar pops up, and you can book a slot for a test drive. Again, very, very compelling. They're reducing friction. So all of this happens while you're sitting in the couch, trying to turn the heater up, and hoping that you will have sunshine in your area very soon. Let's watch the rest of it and see the trackable results they got from this campaign.
Arrive at a dealership nearest to you. You could choose the most convenient day to drive and make a booking directly from the ad. Even invite a friend along for the ride. Incorporating weather data in a smart way guaranteed a...
So as you can see, 3 weeks they ran this campaign. The crux of it being connecting with customers who are interested in buying a car, and they were able to measure that 535 test drives took place, booked through that particular ad unit. Again, extreme amount of measurement built in to see that your brand is shifting in the marketplace. So now that we talked about understanding your consumer, we talked about connecting with the consumer, let's go back to that model, Joyce. How do you engage with the consumer using one of these hooks? So let me show you a couple of examples. Let me show how brands approach this by using entertainment as a hook. So I'm shifting gears. I'll go back to the telecom industry and show a T-Mobile example. So T-Mobile has a product called Summer Pass, which is a mobile roaming package. So T-Mobile understood one of the pain points of the consumers, which is when you're traveling outside of your home region or country, let's say you are on vacation in somewhere in Central America or in the Caribbean, often you can't find a Wi-Fi spot and you need it to connect back home. So people go around looking for where they can get a free or a paid Wi-Fi spot. How many of you have been in that situation when you're traveling, right? Everyone pretty much says. So they came up with this to draw attention to that pain point, and that they have a product, the Summer Pass, which you can take around the world, a global mobile roaming package. They created this entire elaborate, funny story that you can actually rent a dog, a Wi-Fi dog, that will sniff out a Wi-Fi signal for you. Just a fake made-up story, just to be a little humorous and entertaining about it. But to make it real, they actually created a series of 5, what they call mockumentaries, about how these Wi-Fi dogs can work and can be useful when you go off on a vacation in one of these places. So let's watch a few seconds of one of these mockumentaries about how the Wi-Fi dog does its thing.
Welcome to Wi-Fi Dogs. This is my headquarters, and this is where we train the dogs to find the Wi-Fi signal. Hopefully, this is going to be the business of the century. Yeah.
Come on, let's find this Wi-Fi. Come on, I think it's...
At holidays, the people is looking for the Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi is not everywhere. And I was thinking, a really good idea to train a dog to find the Wi-Fi.
Sounds crazy.
It might work. Yeah.
Hello.
Are you sure this works?
Our product is 100% guaranteed.
Yeah?
Don't worry.
Oh my!
The Wi-Fi, where is the Wi-Fi? The Wi-Fi, where is the Wi-Fi?
But maybe the dog was looking for him.
And it drops you into this make-believe URL, and you click on it, and there are 5 of these. It actually takes you to a site. They continue with the realism, where you can look at the Wi-Fi dog, and you leave it about 5 seconds there, then the whole site comes down and actually takes you to the product page. It crumbles down and say, okay, you don't have to do with all this, come to T-Mobile, right? And this is so funny and entertaining, it was so compelling that the audience would watch all of this and eventually sign up. So using entertainment as a hook, what T-Mobile experiences, their growth for the Summer Pass product was 2 times that of the rest of the market. So twice, 2x the growth. Going from entertainment, let me again, going back to the model again, in the interest of time, I'll talk about a utility example. Being useful in the consumer's life can completely change the brand experience. So I'm going to use pizza as an example. How many of you are fans of Domino's Pizza? Yeah, huge, 50%. Go Canada. So when Domino's started 67 years ago, the only way you could order a pizza was walk up to a restaurant and talk to a human being and place your order. And then they shifted from there to mobile, to telephone-based ordering. And for years, that was the principal method by which they got all of the pizza orders. You picked up the phone, talked to a human, and placed an order. About 20 years ago, as the web was coming into vogue, they introduced the first online ordering method, where you could order on the Domino's website without talking to a human being. But you had to go through 15 different steps. Okay, quite a long with it. You had to enter your name and credit card, etc. And at this point, they have increased the number of online ordering methods. There are more than a dozen methods. You can order on your watch, on the iPad, on your desktop, tablet, etc. 60% of their orders comes through online, 30% of it on the mobile device. They get about 75 online orders per second. Plus, the online order typically, the consumer spends $2 more than ordering by talking to a person. So clearly, it is one of their currently, one of the most important ordering methods, ordering on the phone. So they've constantly been looking at it saying, how can we make it simpler? How can we reduce friction? How can we be more useful in the consumer's life? And they reduce the process on the phone to 5 steps. 5 clicks, and you can order a pizza. And at this point, you would think, how many of you feel like, wow, that's incredible, that they took it down from about 15 steps to 5 steps, and this is pretty good. They met your benchmark? Yep, you all, right? You're nodding heads. But Domino's didn't stop with that. They challenged themselves and said, can we make it 0 clicks? Why stop at 5? No clicks. So they've actually introduced a 0-click method of ordering, and I'll give you a little demo, but if I do it on this, and you won't be able to see it, so actually Joyce here, my colleague, did the demo and we pre-recorded it. Here's how it works. When you load the app, it preloads an order based on Joyce's favorite pizza that she regularly orders. It knows her address, it knows her credit card, and then the countdown clock will count 10 seconds. That is 10 seconds for you to say, no, I want to change my order. If you don't do anything, it automatically orders your favorite pizza and has it sent. Let's watch it. So it's preloaded. The demo is going on. It's ready to send it to the Google office. Let's go. It count down. That's your chance. No clicks needed. All we did was load the app. And here we go. 3, 2, 1, and bing. Placing order. Done, right? 0 clicks, and the pizza is going to arrive in 20 minutes. This is an example of being useful in the consumer's life, and all of a sudden, the brand really leapfrogging through a better consumer experience. So I want you to think all of the friction points that you may have in your interaction with consumers, whether it's billing, payment, ordering, customer service, etc., and what is it that you can do to get to a 0-click-like model. So moving from there, I want to talk about participation. This is when you get the consumer to become part of your marketing. So moving from pizza and cars and Wi-Fi dogs, I want to move to financial services. And the reason I'm picking examples from many different industry categories is to show you that brands in every category are trying to use digital to have a better relationship. And the consumer happens to be the same in all the cases, right? The same person is being interacted with, whether it's Domino's or T-Mobile or Vodafone or Audi, and based on that, the consumer expectation is getting reset. So if you don't keep pace with it, if you say, no one in the telecom industry is doing it, but if somebody else is doing it, like Starbucks and Nike, that becomes the new set point for the consumer, and all of a sudden, the perception they have of you as a brand suddenly deteriorates. So let's look at financial services, and this was Santander Bank. So their main message is, even though they provide a basket of financial services, what Santander Bank is really selling is how to help you prosper. And that can mean many things to many people. Living a fulfilled, prosperous life is what their value proposition of the brand is. And they found that when they were trying to express it, the consumer was not engaging, and the content tended to be less compelling. So they flipped the model and said, let's ask our consumers to express what does a compelling, prosperous, happy life mean, and through the arc of the story told by our consumers, let's build our brand message. So they invited the consumers to submit content. And one of the first financial services examples I've seen of user-generated content being used in a brand building marketing message. So here is the creative from Santander Bank. Almost done, right?
Life is full of transactions. Sometimes you're in credit. Sometimes things are a bit tight. And some statements we receive don't always get put in a drawer. And the things you invest in, the assets you have, can't always be counted or cashed in. Prosperity isn't always measured with a decimal point or a figure on a screen. Prosperity is finding what you want in life. And with preferential deals for our 5 million 123 World customers, we're here to help you prosper.
So when Santander tested this creative, they had one of the highest ad recalls they saw of all of the creatives. Why? Because it's authentic, it's human, and it is their customers talking as opposed to a slick commercial produced by an agency. And this is the kind of content we are beginning to see that seems so very endearing, and consumers relate to it much better. So to wrap up this, in conclusion, there are really 3 points that I made as part of this conversation. The first is that digital now allows you to have a very unique, distinct, different conversation with your consumer. Second, using digital, you can follow this model of really understanding your consumer deeply, the example we showed from Vodafone, connecting with them in a precise moment, the Audi example, or engaging with them using entertainment as a hook, T-Mobile Wi-Fi dogs, or being useful in their life, reducing friction, Domino's Pizza, or getting the consumer to participate in the marketing process like Santander did. Now at this point, I often get that response saying, all of this is well and good for these other sexy brands, but for me, I'm not so sure, given my product and service, whether this whole digital model will work well. How many of you feel that way? A couple of people? Yes? So if you're feeling that way, I want to end with one final story of a brand that does not have the luxury of what you all offer. You're solving a very important problem for humanity. And if you do it well, at the end of it, you have a happy consumer, a fulfilled consumer. So there's always a little bit of happiness, problem solving, reducing friction, making life easy kind of message tied at the end of your product or service. What if I flipped your job for the next 20 minutes and asked you to deal with a brand whose main subject matter is death? That's right, you heard me right, death. That is a chillingly compelling and morbidly fascinating topic, but nobody wants to go near. How do you use this kind of a model when it comes to a topic that deals with death? This is a challenge a brand called Dela had to deal with. They are a Dutch funeral insurance company. Now, insurance is hard to market. Funeral insurance is impossible. Plus, there's no lifetime value of the customer. No happy customers to give you kudos. So Dela stepped into it, using this model all the way from understanding the sentiment behind the topic to getting the consumer to participate and tracking business results. They did a brilliant execution, and it was called Say Something Before It Is Too Late. So here's Dela with Say Something Before It Is Too Late. Let's watch that.
The most beautiful words are often spoken when someone has passed away. Such a shame, because the person they talk about can no longer hear them. For the funeral insurance company Dela, we came up with an idea. Why wait until it's too late? Say something wonderful today. We gave people the opportunity to say something wonderful to someone they really care about, and they were completely taken by surprise. We filmed speeches with hidden cameras and created some extraordinary commercials with real people, no actors, honest and sincere.
Ik wil graag iets opdragen aan mijn lieve ouders die hier zitten. Bedankt mama en pap dat jullie je leven in Iran hebben achtergelaten voor mij. Om mij een leven te kunnen bieden waar ik altijd van heb gedroomd. En waarvan ik nooit had gedacht dat het werkelijkheid zou worden. Ik wil jullie heel erg bedanken voor jullie moed en jullie doorzettingsvermogen. En voor alles wat jullie voor mij hebben gedaan.
Pa, ik wil je bedanken voor de mooie jaren hier. En dat niet alleen. Ik ben nu een aantal maanden getrouwd en je hebt mij enorm geholpen met klussen. Eigenlijk sta je altijd voor me klaar. Pa, ik zeg het niet vaak, maar ik hou van je.
Je bent een super zoon in moeilijke tijden en in gewone tijden. Dank je wel, lieve jongen.
Then we gave everyone in Holland the chance to show their love and affection. We made ads with just the word dear. You were invited to fill in the rest yourself. The people of the Netherlands made immense use of this opportunity and uploaded their beautiful words to our special website. You could also share your words via the website or via Facebook. But we went further. From the written ads, we made posters for outdoor. Each poster was unique and was displayed in the area where the person it was meant for lived. And we went even further. On New Year's Eve, we gave people the chance to express their love live on TV. A wave of beautiful words swept over Holland, and we got the message across. It was picked up, talked about, and acted on. And the result? Dela captured a place in the list of top 10 best-known brands in Holland, and the amount of
So Dela funeral insurance brand becomes a top 10 brand, and the insurance sales goes up by 50%. And that's my closing message. If Dela can do it with funeral insurance, we can work magic with each of your brands and digital. Thank you.